Hello and welcome. Okay, let's just jump right in. Because today, we're exploring one of the most bizarre and honestly brilliant survival strategies in the entire plant kingdom. We're talking about an orchid that has engineered an absolutely wild ride for the insects that pollinate it.
So, take a look at this. At first glance, you see this spectacular, really complex flower. But look a little closer at how it's positioned. Does it seem a little strange to you? This orchid, which is from the genus Stanhopea, appears to be growing completely upside down. And believe me, that is no accident.
Yeah, this isn't just some weird quirk, it's the defining feature of this entire group of orchids. Their flower spikes don't grow up towards the sun like you'd expect. Nope, they grow down, literally pushing right through the bottom of whatever they're growing on. In fact, people who grow them have to use these special open mesh baskets just so the flowers have a way to escape, which, brings up a pretty big question. Why?
Now, there's a botanical term for this. It's called a pendant inflorescence, and it is absolutely central to how this orchid survives. The whole elaborate, crazy structure of the flower is built around this downward hanging design. So what on earth is the evolutionary advantage of growing your flowers upside down? Well, let's find out.
Okay, so the plot thickens a little bit when you find out that this incredibly complex flower is in a desperate race against the clock. I mean, all this energy, all this intricate biological engineering, and it's for a bloom that is just spectacularly short-lived. This puts so much pressure on the orchid to get pollinated, and to get pollinated fast.
And when I say fast, I am not kidding. For most species of Stanhopea, the flower will last a maximum of 3 days. Just 3 days. That's all the time it has to attract the perfect pollinator and secure the next generation. After that, it just withers away and the chance is totally gone.
So think about that for a second. With only 72 hours on the clock, you can't just sit around hoping some random insect wanders by. No way. You need a specialist, and you need them to show up on schedule. So how does this flower solve that problem? Well, it doesn't just invite its pollinator over, it sets a trap.
And this, my friends, brings us to the main event, a masterful piece of co-evolution. The orchid solution is this fragrant, slippery, perfectly engineered trap designed for one very specific creature, the male euglossine bee, also known as an orchid bee. The entire flower is basically a fantastic little theme park ride with a really important purpose. So, how does this whole trap work? Okay, step 1. The orchid pumps out this intoxicating perfume that the male bees just find irresistible. See, they collect these scents to create their own cologne to attract female bees. So the bee is there, scraping away at this waxy, fragrant surface, and eventually it loses its footing on the super slippery lip. And this is where the genius of that upside-down design kicks in. Gravity takes over, and whoosh! The bee goes for a ride, sliding down a perfectly shaped chute. As it zips through, its back brushes right up against the flower's column, which glues a packet of pollen right onto it. It is literally a biological toboggan run.
I love this description from our source material because it captures that moment so well. You see, it's not a struggle. The bee is an unwitting but totally willing participant. The flower's waxy surface makes sure it can't hang on, and the chute guides it perfectly to the exit, ensuring that pollen gets tagged every single time. And of course, the bee, completely unfazed, just flies off to another Stanhopea flower, takes another slide, and delivers that pollen packet exactly where it needs to go. And you can actually see different takes on this whole theme across the genus. On the left, you've got Stanhopea tigrina. It has these dramatic horns that act kind of like bumpers on a bowling lane, right? They align the bee perfectly for its slide. But then on the right, you've got Stanhopea acornuta, which literally means hornless. It evolved a different chute shape, proving there's more than one way to send a bee on a wild ride.
And this incredible mechanism isn't just a one-off thing. The Stanhopea genus is a truly dazzling family, with about 55 different species. Each one has its own little spin on this wild ride, and you can find them all the way from Mexico down through South America.
So let's meet a few members of the family, shall we? This is Stanhopea insignis, the very first one of its kind to ever be described. It's known for these really intricate, almost leopard-like spots. And here we have Stanhopea oculata. It's actually named for those two prominent eyes that seem to stare out from the base of its lip. Pretty cool, huh? Some of them, like this ghostly white Stanhopea candida, are just hauntingly beautiful. It's a much more delicate take on the exact same brilliant mechanism. And finally, check out Stanhopea grandiflora. As you can probably guess from the name, it has these truly enormous flowers. This just goes to show you the incredible variety within this one family,
all of them united by this one spectacular, upside-down survival strategy.
So, in the end, the Stanhopea isn't just some weird plant. It's one half of an intricate dance, one that was choreographed over millions of years. This partnership is a perfect story of coevolution, but it also tells us something really important about nature, how fragile it can be. When two species are this specifically adapted to one another, losing one of them means the end for the other. It's a beautiful but really high-stakes game of survival.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a flower can engineer a miniature slide just to trick a bee, what other incredible dramas, what other secret mechanisms are playing out all around us, just hidden in plain sight? Thanks for joining me.